Welcome back. This is part 2 of 4 videos that we're doing on our recent European vacation. Part 1, we told you a little bit about our pre-cruise vacation where we went to Paris and then to Italy. And that's called How to Do Paris, How to Vacation in Paris 2024. This is part 2. This is going to be all about the ship. Now, we sailed on the Celebrity Ascent. It's only about a year old, nice ship, and we left out of Civitavecchia, Italy, did 12 days through the Greek Isles and into Turkey, and then came back to Spain, to Barcelona, did a back-to-back, and that's going to be part 3 in this cruise video. This is the whole back-to-back part. It's about 7-8 minutes long. And then from there, we did a transatlantic crossing for 13 days. So we were on the ship for 25 days. Let's get started. This is the stern of the ship, the back of the ship, aft. And they have a beautiful bar in the back called the Sunset Bar. A gorgeous area, lots of seating out in the open. You get some good sunshine and whatnot, and here we are looking at another ship that happened to be in port at the same time we were. A little bit different angle on this picture here as we are still in port in Civitavecchia and taking a look at more ships in the area. Kathy and I had a chance to sit down on the starboard side, and when we did, we looked up, and here's a bear dancing with a lady. Nice little picture there for you. And that was our first seat, if you will, on the Celebrity Ascent. What was interesting was they have a lot of ferry boats. Now, you think of a ferry boat like the Staten Island Ferry or something like that. You're thinking a nice-sized boat that fits a lot of people. Maybe you can put cars on it and whatnot. These are ships that actually sailed from Civitavecchia, Italy, to Barcelona, Spain. It took 20 hours one way to sail between the two cities. And so you could actually get a cabin on these ships. You could drive your car in there, whatever, and you could get a cabin and it's kind of like a one-day cruise or a 20-hour cruise. Civitavecchia is the port of Rome. And this is another shot of that looking from the ship back into the city itself. City's got about 50,000 people. I mean, it's not a small city. It's a decent-sized town. So this was looking back at that. Once you get on board the ship, of course, the first thing you want to do is get something to eat. Now, Celebrity does something right that a lot of other cruise lines don't do right. You can take your carry-on bags with you, go right to your cabin, drop the bags off, pick up your SeaPass card, and then wander around the ship or get something to eat. This was Kathy's plate. She loves to get fruit when she's first on board a ship, and that's what we did. And that took place in the Ocean View Cafe. That's the name of the buffet on Celebrity Ascent. This took place not in Civitavecchia. This took place in Naples, Italy. That is a Carnival ship in the background, and Moby that's another ferry. And ferries between different cities and different ports. And this was where we were in Naples, Italy. Again, GNV, another ferry that you see, and then Naples in the background. Naples is a good-sized town. Actually, I think it's like the 3rd largest city in all of Italy. Here's Kathy, and overlooking, we had a drink there that night at the Sunset Bar, and we're overlooking Naples. It was a beautiful evening. It was late October, and it was probably, the 16th of October, mid-October anyway. And it was a beautiful night. It was in the 70s and 80s, and it was just gorgeous outside. You can see here, we had a view of I guess it's a fort. They had a fort there, and you can see that, the parapets of the fort with a dome behind it. Just some of what we saw in Naples. Of course, the theater on board Celebrity Ascent was magical. Not because of magical bones. This was a magician that performed in the first night. We got there early and wanted to see him. And, I'm not a big fan of magicians typically, but this guy was really, really good. put on a really decent show for us. But I was more interested in seeing the theater. The pictures that you see behind them change. I mean, they can put anything they want up there. The next morning, bright and early, for breakfast at Sea, and we've already left Naples the next morning, and this is in the Ocean View Cafe. That is sunrise in the Ocean View Cafe, and some people are already up. It's a sea day as we're heading from Naples, Italy, to Olympia, or Katakollon, Greece, which is where the first Olympics were held. And here's Kathy. Again, this was back at the Sunset Bar on the back of the ship, and just having a good old time sitting there. I think she's got a banana or something there. We went through the Messina Straits. That's Messina on Sicily, and the other side was actually Italy itself. If you think of Italy being the boot, right? This would be the football at the end of the boot, and this is Sicily. That's what Sicily would be. This is our cabin. Our cabin was really a good size for being an interior cabin. Big king-size bed, dressing table, couch, and a good size television set. Really a decent size here. Exploring the ship is always fun, regardless what ship you're on. And this was on deck 5, toward the back of the ship, toward the aft. This is called Eden, and this was one of the many different types of seating that they had on Eden. Here's Kathy, and she found a hanging chair that she liked to sit in. There's Rich, and he's found just a bench with some kind of wild flowers. They have some very weird artwork on board Celebrity Ascent. And yeah, they do have a house of mirrors on there. And I'm sure you've seen that. We're not going to get into that necessarily, but there's tons of videos that do a deck-by-deck breakdown of that. But here I am sitting. There's stairs to my left on the picture there, on the right side of the picture, that take you down to the restaurants. There's 2 restaurants on deck 4 and 2 restaurants on deck 3. Okay, they did a thing called Music Bingo, and this is it. This was held at the Martini Bar on deck 3. Packed the place. They would play a song, and you had a sheet, and it listed different songs, and you had to mark it off when you heard the song. They didn't announce what the song was, but you had to be able to do that, and then you got a chance to get your bingo, and they gave away some prizes for that. Day 2 was the first formal night. That was the only night I actually put on a sport jacket. Kathy dressed up as always, and she always looks better than me anyway, so nonetheless, but this was us getting ready for dinner. One of the places we love to go was called the Club. It's on deck 4 and 5. It's 2 stories. And this is where we went a lot of times at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for trivia. And then at 4:30, we went and enjoyed a beverage. That was where we like to go for our pre-dinner drink. And that is Deshaun Simper. Deshaun was our bartender. The very first day, Deshaun says, I will take care of you each and every day of the cruise. And he did. You're going to be seeing some of his creations. This guy was amazing. You would say to him, I feel like something sweet tonight. And he'd go back and he'd create a drink. Never before done. We had, I think, 5 different drinks that he created during the cruise. We were with him for 25 days, and I think there was only maybe 1 day, maybe 2 out of 25 that we didn't go see Deshaun. The guy's from Trinidad and Tobago, wonderful guy. If you ever get on board Celebrity Ascent, find out where he's at. Hopefully he's not in the club, because they closed that down quite a bit to do special things, and they kick everybody out so they can set it up for their special event or whatever. But Deshaun, he's the guy you want to see. This is a picture, of course, of the Celebrity Ascent. This is a wonderful picture, and it shows you everything. The orange thing hanging off the side is actually called the Magic Carpet, and it goes up to deck 16 and all the way down to deck 2. They can use that to board tenders. They can use that as a restaurant. They use it as a bar, and it goes up and down as they need it. Here's Kathy, and she is in the... I think this one is taken from the Ocean View Cafe. We're having lunch there that day, and she's sitting there having her lunch and giving me a Kind of a weird look, don't you think? This is a map. Now, this was on our TV in our stateroom. You see Napoli, that's Naples. That was our first stop. Catacollon is where, that's in Greece, and that was where Olympia was. We went and toured that. Then we came around Greece to where it says Piraeus. That is actually Athens, and that is where the ship is at this point in time. Mykonos, we also went to the Isle of Mykonos, and we also stopped in Rhodes and Santorini. And then we went to Turkey, which is right there where you see Ankara. Yeah, that area there is Turkey. Istanbul, if you see up top, Istanbul is actually in the European side, and Ankara and that whole big mass down below, south of Istanbul, is actually classified as Asia. Here's Kathy at breakfast. We're elite members on their loyalty program, and so we got to have breakfast, a continental breakfast for elite members and higher each and every day. They would give you smoothies. They would give you fruit. You could have cheese plates with bagels, and then I fell in love with a yogurt and blueberry cup, and that's what you see down at the bottom of the picture. And they also serve specialty coffees. This was done, the first part of the cruise was done in Le Grand Bistro, and the second part was done in one of the restaurants, but this was the first part, and Kathy and I came and ate there most mornings. When we got to Rhodes, this is part of what used to be the Colossus. The Colossus was a giant structure, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, and that was one of the bases where the Rhodes was on the far side of the port. And then on where we were, there was another base. The Colossus stretched over the port. It since is gone, but the base is still there. This is looking at Rhodes from the ship. We didn't get off the ship in Rhodes because, quite frankly, there really isn't much to see or do. You can see where the Colossus was, and that's the big draw in Rhodes. However, some people did, and here you see a guided tour, them taking a look at where the Colossus was and whatever was left. Here's Kathy on board. This is taken from the Ocean View Cafe at breakfast one morning when we went up there for breakfast, and she's just playing on her phone, having a good old time. The one I thought, this is a picture I thought was kind of neat. This is a Greek naval ship that is outside of Rhodes, and it's just a naval ship that was sitting there. It sat there the entire time we were in port. One of the things Kathy loved, and we talk about this in the pre-cruise video that we did, was gelato. They had gelato each and every day, a different flavor, and so she would always go down at noon to find out what the flavor of gelato was that they had that day, and more often than not, she'd get it and have herself a scoop of gelato. Now, I talked about Deshawn making drinks. Early on in the cruise, I came down with a cold. So I went to Deshawn one night and I said, I'm kind of stuffed up tonight. I'm coming down with a cold. Can you make me something for that? And you see the drink there with a straw in it. That is called, he named this one Gin and Germs. It's gin, and it's got mint, and it's got some other things in it that, to be honest, I'm not even sure what it was. But it tasted pretty good. And did it work? Yeah, it kind of did. 3-4 days later, my cold was gone. I did stop off to get some medicine in Italy, and this was the instructions on how to take the medicine. Do you know Italian? Because I sure don't. I do recognize the word medico, being medical, but I don't really understand much more than that. We did celebrate Kathy's birthday on board the ship, and they brought her a birthday cake. It was amazing. They brought us champagne, and you see the champagne there. They gave her birthday cake, saying happy birthday, and they brought all the wait staff over to sing to her as well, and we appreciate that. They did a super job. There she is when they turned the lights back on, and she's enjoying her birthday cake. In fact, she had to take that back down to the room and stick it in the fridge because that was a lot of birthday cake. This is a drink that Deshawn made for Kathy one night. We called it the Pink Kathy. I'm not sure what was in it. She never reordered it, but she did drink it, and she did like it. But it had, I don't know what it had in it, but That was the Pink Kathy. This is our waiter. Now, we've been on 25, 30 cruises, something like that, and this guy is the best waiter we've ever had. His name is Bibek. He's from India, and Bibek was absolutely phenomenal. We had him for the first portion of the cruise, the first 12 days, and we told him on the last night of that cruise, as we were getting into Barcelona, I said to him, I said, Bibek, we want you next time. And he said, well, I think they're changing my station. I said, that won't do. We need to have you next time. So he changed our seats and moved us to where we could go and sit with him. The funny thing is that we met a couple from Kitchener, Ontario, who sat next to us during the last part of the cruise, the last 13 days, the transatlantic portion. Bibek actually took our picture. Well, I've never had a crew member take our picture, but he did. And he kept it. I mean, it was on his phone, so that was kind of neat. This is as we are coming in to Alicante, Spain. This was our first port of call after Barcelona. We came alongside of this, and a little bit of mountains, but a nice city. We had a lot of wonderful food on board this ship. Now, the first place we went was called La Voyage, and it was a Daniel Boulud restaurant, and this was her appetizer. That was my appetizer. I had the prawns, and they were excellent prawns. We both got the same thing for dinner. We both got the filet mignon. It had onion strings on the top, and it had the square things that you see there, the cubes, are actually potatoes. And they were excellent. They were basically like scallop potatoes that they formed into squares. And carrots off to the side with a little bit of cauliflower puree on the side. For dessert, Kathy got some wonderful dessert. She got a bowl of fruit with whipped cream and whatnot on the side. And Rich went for chocolate. That's a chocolate cake. And I'm telling you, it was delicious. Very small, but I'll tell you what, very filling. Okay, this was taken in the Azores. We were in the Azores in Ponta Delgada, and this was what you looked at as you looked out of the ship toward the city itself. Went out there and actually got some medicine there for my cold. Kathy, walking around the ship, a lot of artwork on this ship. A lot of it weird, but a lot of it very nice as well. And then this was the second night that we went specialty restaurant. This was at Eden on deck 5. Actually, this was on deck 4. Then we ate at Eden. I had no idea what I was going to be eating here. We'd looked at the menu before we got there, but I thought it was going to be an okay dinner. It turned out to be probably one of, if not the best dinner I have ever eaten in my life. And that's Kathy taking a look at the menu. She got a little bit of some shrimp and for an appetizer. I had the crab cake with a little bit of the wasabi off to the side, and it was wonderful. Could not believe it. That was all crab meat, by the way. Very light dusting of breading on the top, but all crab meat. They have an open-air kitchen at Eden, and so this is what it looked like, as you could look and see the guys at the pass plating the food and getting it ready to deliver to you. It was really kind of neat to watch them cook it. For dinner, Kathy had fish. She surprised me. I did not expect her to be eating fish. She's not a big seafood lover, but she got fish that night, and it was very light and a very tender whitefish, and she absolutely loved it. For me, I got a filet mignon and a short rib Wellington. That's the Wellington to the left, and the filet is to the right. Unbelievable how much I loved the short rib Wellington. That had so much flavor to it, it was unbelievable. For dessert, yeah, you can see I've been eating it already, the chocolate cake. Got to have my chocolate. And Kathy had it was a pudding that she had in that. They brought us an extra dessert, actually, and this is what they brought us. It had a profiterole and some chocolate pieces in there as well. One of the things that we really enjoyed, and we can credit Deshawn, our bartender, with this. Kathy said, I've never had brandy. Can you make me something with brandy? So he put brandy, he put cream de blueberry, cream de lilac, that's what it was. He also added to that Bailey's Irish cream, Kahlua, and then filled it up with cream. We called it the AZ Golden Cream. Now, he said AZ because he made it in the Azores. We like the AZ because we're from Arizona. Anyway, that was something Kathy ordered time and time and time again. We credit Deshaun. I told him, I said, you better be writing all of this stuff down. This ought to be a great book. You've created, by this time he's created like 3-4 drinks for us that had never been created before. And obviously, Kathy was happy with the AZ Golden Cream. We also, of course, had a part of our package, because we're elite members, between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m., we could order wine, we could order mixed drinks, we could order beer, we could order pop, water, whatever, for free, because of being elite members. So we had a glass of wine while we were waiting for dinner on this particular evening. This was a thing called a time bomb, one of Deshaun's creations. I can't tell you exactly what's in this, but it's strong. I can tell you, it is gin-based, but it was very strong. And you drink with that, and a few minutes after you've drunk it, it goes down like a milkshake, but all of a sudden, boom, it hits you, and the bomb goes off. Our last night of specialty restaurant, Kathy and I went to the steakhouse, the Fine Cut Steakhouse, and this was Kathy's appetizer, and this was Rich's appetizer. It seemed funny. I was always getting the crab cake for an appetizer, but I did, again, at Fine Cut Steakhouse. That was Kathy's steak, and she had mashed potatoes with that and a little bit of sauce. You can see she had mushrooms, and I had the asparagus. Had to get healthy somewhere, right? And there was my steak. I had the 9-ounce filet and put blue cheese crust on top of that, and it was excellent. Very good. Very good. One of the things that we did, went to a wine tasting, and they gave you champagne, gave you a white wine, and gave you a red wine, and told you a little bit about it. And there's Kathy and me. You see my glasses and her glasses as we went to our wine tasting. And there's Rich tasting his wine. This is as we are coming into Bermuda, looking out from the Ocean View Cafe, just glancing out at the port of Bermuda where we were. On the deck, there is always, on celebrity ships, a big piece of art. And on Celebrity Ascent, it's an octopus. There's Kathy standing with the octopus. You know, on all of our videos, I've got her standing by some sort of statue. And there's a statue there. Of course, she wanted to do me as well. So there you go. Rich with his arms spread. And this is Kathy just enjoying life by Cafe de Baccio, which is a coffee shop on board. And we're just having a good old time. Richard did enjoy an espresso martini that night and thanked the lovely lady that brought it to him. Kathy I think she had tea that night. I do believe. Maybe it was not tea, but anyway, there you go. That was our cruise. The cruise videos anyway, as we worked our way back from actually Civitavecchia, Italy to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 25 nights on board the ship, and we had a wonderful, wonderful time.